You have actually assembled a hell of a lot of forwards, so do you think this group is one of the most exciting, one of the most attacking groups within the Premier League? I mean, that's clearly been a goal.
For sure, if you look at the players that we have, starting from the keeper, very attacking goalkeeper, the most attacking goalkeeper in the league by far. The centre backs, one of them, the most attacking one. In one phase, the most attacking one. The two fullbacks, you look at every stat, that's it. Zubimendi playing there. We play with a player on the right-hand side, attacking midfielder, played as a 9 last year. So how attacking that is. More than a 9 playing in midfield. I haven't seen it in the league. Attacking midfielder, it was a 9. And 3 from players that are very, very much attacking. So I think we have a lot of attacking, different qualities for attacking players, some of them more talented in some areas than others in relation to the game that we play, but yeah, very good.
The goalkeeper, does he give you heart failure at times, or are you always encouraging him to do that?
I would say
is it something you like?
If one day I go, no, it's about understanding the risk rewards, I like to bet £1 to win 1 million. 1 million to win £1 is not a bet that I want to put on, So it's just understanding which area of the pitch, what's the value that's going to give you in relation to the return.
Can I just ask you also about the trophy? You've been incredibly successful here as a player in winning domestic trophies. You've already won one as a manager here. The Carabao Cup, is sometimes derided a little bit, isn't it? As a trophy, just how much does it mean to you? This season as an opportunity, where does it stand in English football generally?
Well, I think it's changed a lot over the years since I was a player here at the beginning, the perception of the Carabao Cup before and now, and you have to see the lineups of the teams when you go and play in the competition. We all want to win trophies. This is certainly one that we're going to fight for, and we're going to prepare in that way because every trophy that we are involved in, we want to win it.
Just on last year, obviously you got to the semi-final in this competition, had a couple of injuries along the way. Are you a bit wary of the load on the players that's going to be with 4 competitions to play? I know it's early stages of this competition, but is that a concern for you?
Yes, but at the moment as well, we have players that they haven't played that many games, and especially because it's the start of the season and the international break, and we only play once with a midweek. I think there is moments still now that is going to be very beneficial for the team and certain players to play minutes, and then we will have to see obviously throughout the season how the load is getting into certain individuals and try to manage it.
And just on Wanyeri, do you see him as more of an option in midfield or in a tactic that we'll see if Martin's not around and Ed's can't play 3 games in a week? Is he sort of your next creative option?
Yes, he can play in both attacking midfield position. He can play as a right winger with different qualities that are right winger, but anything that is shifted to that right side is when Ethan's qualities, are at the optimal level, and I will see that tomorrow.
You talk about Max getting kicked by his own teammates. He also gets kicked by others.
Not with a bad intention. I mean, it's an immediate. Someone not makes you at 14. Is what do you do?
So in a game like tomorrow
against
a League One outfit who are very physical, would you have any hesitation in starting him a lot of minutes?
No, because you was the game he played with at 23s. It happened. I was the game England against Spain, and in the first 40 minutes it was 9 fouls. So it's going to happen. He's going to have to learn as well when to release the ball, when to attract his starting position. Very similar to Bukayo at the beginning as well. Those players are going to attract players, contact, attention, and they have to be very smart when you want that contact and when you don't want, and what you have to do to avoid it.
What's his temperament like when he does get kicked, from what you've seen? How does he react?
He just gets up.
That's quite rare for him.
Yes, very rare. Sometimes I get surprised emotionally how cool he can be. I think it's about repetition. He's so used to it, that now he knows that let the referee deal with it, and my team is probably to defend me, and we carry on playing.
Mikel, going back to Max, talking about he can look after himself in the field, but he's 6 foot tall already. This is a growing lad who, once he learns the darker arts, may be able to dish it out himself.
Well, let's see. But he's super smart. I mean, his football IQ, the way he makes decisions, the way he moves, he does it naturally. You know, it's not too much to coach. There is the competitive part of the game that we need to evolve with him for him to understand the nature of the game, a lot of the things that probably he doesn't pay too much attention to. But that comes with minutes, with experience, and by sharing a dressing room with these boys that they're going to take him through a lot of stuff.
Finally, yes, sir.
From
Hi.
Sunday, aside from the handbrake comment, the consensus from a wide majority of the Sky Sports pundits was that Mikel Arteta's too cautious. This cautious approach is why Arsenal can't reach the high level and get trophies, etc., etc. What did you make of that narrative of you being too cautious and deploying a cautious approach which could have potential in the future?
But when I'm going to convince somebody that feels that way to something else, I cannot spend my energy of that. I think when you look at the winning record on this football club, the goals that we score, the clean sheet that we have, the way we play, the way we played against Manchester City, in the territory we play against Man City. But I mean, I cannot waste that opportunity. And if the intention of those comments, which ones are the good ones, positive, to be better for us, not to be so good for us, so depending where the comment is coming from, I think that's when I can analyze it. See what is the intention, what is the purpose of that? Because I had a lot of things using my phone. They could not believe what we did to Manchester City. And people that are coaches, managers, CEOs, presidents, so proud. And I look at the players and the people around, so I'm much more filled and fueled with that with other ones that they want to make that.
And in terms of the Carabao Cup, do you see this as a big opportunity to not only win it, but maybe possibly win it in a kind of knock-on effect with the other competition?
Yes, because I guess winning a game has always a positive impact in the group, in the energy, in the atmosphere, confidence. So winning tomorrow is going to help us for Newcastle, that's for sure. And because we have obviously the duty to try to win the competition, without a doubt.
Mikel, just a quick one.
Okay.
So, it's busy space for the team. Obviously, it's busy space for the fans as well. Bilbao, Port Vale, Newcastle away. What's your message to the fans?
Well, to maintain what they are doing, because it's amazing. Everywhere we go, the support, the energy that they bring to the team, really value, because they could be doing something else and they choose to come and follow the team and stay close to us. And the more we do that, the better we're going to be. So thank you.
Okay, guys, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, in the Premier League, of course, the big game on Sunday finished 1-1 between Arsenal and Manchester City on yesterday's show. And of course, beyond, a lot of people questioning Arteta's starting 11 and whether or not it was too reserved in a game that you felt Arsenal really needed to make a statement, given what we've seen over previous seasons. Robbo, as a former Arsenal man, let's start with you. Did he get it wrong?
Well, he got the midfield, you could say he got it wrong. They dominated the game in terms of possession. But when you play with Rice, Zubimendi and Marino in the midfield, there's going to be a shortage of passing ability. You know, Declan Rice can hit a crossfield pass and he'll play balls into the striker's feet. But because he played those three in there and there wasn't too many players making runs beyond Gyökeres, the two wide players were too wide. So my issue was that Declan Rice and Zubimendi did not need to go back into the back three or back two to go and get the ball. They could have played 20, 30 yards up the field. That was what was negative about Arsenal more than anything else. We know that Marino can make runs in the box for crosses coming in. We know that Declan Rice can do the same. But if Zubimendi and Declan Rice keep going back to receive balls, and there's only got Haaland pressing the ball for Manchester City, and he's doing it half-heartedly, why are they going back there? Play for 15 yards up the field and get more support for Gyökeres. That was the thing that was wrong with Arsenal for the first half in particular.
Well, and you've got Saka and Eze on the bench.
Well, Saka coming back from
If he can come on at half-time, he can start the game.
No, that's not how it works.
What do you mean it doesn't know how it works?
Well, he may not have...
You want to start your best team to make a statement, 3-0 up half-time, whip him off.
Yeah, okay. Now, I mean, I think what really messed them up in this game was obviously conceding that goal, and then that allowed City to take the approach they took, which I don't think, and this is why Pep is...
You can't poo-poo my Saka theory. If he can play a whole second half, he can play a whole first half first, can't he?
If he's only cleared to play 45 minutes, surely you want to bring him on in the second half.
I don't know. That's an interesting point, isn't it? Surely you want to start with your best team.
I would imagine Arteta's plan wasn't like, let me make this as difficult as possible by leaving my best player out for no apparent reason.
Well, clearly, if I'm fit for 45 minutes, I should be starting. The game should be beyond doubt. If I'm 2-0 up at half-time, it's a completely different game because I've started Saka.
Right, and if you're 2-0 up at halftime and you haven't started Saka, then you don't need to bring on Saka, and then you're fine.
You weren't, because you played it so conservatively in the middle.
I think...
Robbo.
Well, the only problem you got is that in the midweek game, the best player for Arsenal was Madueke. And was he the player that you were going to leave out for Saka? So if you're going to play Saka on the right-hand side and play Madueke on the left-hand side, I could see that rather than Trossard. And I agree with you, Dan, in terms of if I was a player that could only play 60 minutes maybe, I'd want to start the game. I wouldn't want to come on as a sub. I'd want to have an impact from the start of the game. And then when I get tired, say to the coach, I need to come off now, rather than the other way round. I found it, well, that wasn't sub very often, but I couldn't have an impact when I came on as a sub. I always wanted to start games. So that's what I did.
Well, sorry, can we also mention...
Go on, Robbo.
And the fact that Eze hasn't played particularly well, that's why he didn't play rather than Marino. Marino's been more consistent than Eze. Eze came on and did okay, but I still think the judgment was out because he's been playing on the left-hand side. And could he play that role that Odegaard was playing? He proved in the second half he could, so that's why he was left on the bench.
Your thoughts, Shank?
We aren't quite sure what the issue or the assessment on Bukayo Saka was. Now, maybe it was he can only make 30 minutes, but then you're 1-0 down at halftime and you're desperate to make a change, so you throw him on. The other side to that argument is he's fit enough to play 60, so therefore he should have started. But we're not quite sure what the situation was, how he was assessed. Mikel Arteta made that decision. Now, for me, I think it comes down to, I wasn't convinced by Trossard's involvement. I thought Madueke was, as Robbo said, outstanding in midweek. I thought he was outstanding in the first half of the game. I'm not sure why he was brought off. And then when you look at Arsenal's equalising goal, it comes from Eze dropping deep and providing that deep pass that a Rice or
Odegaard
would have done. So for me, I'm thinking you could go Madueke, Eze, either side of Gyökeres as your preferred two. And then if you do need to change, then you bring Saka on, we move Eze through the middle, and that's how you play the game. So for me, it's less about the starting 11, certainly a whole lot less about Bukayo Saka, but more about the changes that were made at halftime.
Well, Madueke, we heard, got a knock at halftime, well, during the first half. That's why he came off. Did you want to say something, Gab?
No, I want to bring it back to the other guy who was missing, is Odegaard. And when I look at this team, it seems that he's got a bazillion players. He's got an alternative for every starter. The one guy he does not have alternative for is Odegaard. Maybe Nwaneri, but he doesn't seem to trust Nwaneri in that position because he's too young, and we saw him obviously come on at the end, right?
But he's not a Rodri, is he? He's not a Pedri. He's not someone...
He's Arsenal's most creative midfielder.
Who doesn't create enough in big games.
Okay, says Dan Thomas. But
he's still the most... Let's not have a show. We won't do this because I haven't played Arsenal. But that's the thing, though, isn't it? This has been the disappointing thing with that. You can't... If you're looking at Arsenal, you go, because Odegaard didn't play, that gives them an excuse.
It doesn't give him an excuse. No. Let's be very clear. If Odegaard's not there, you sign this large man to play centre forward for you, then be more direct. Then rather than the U-shaped approach, just put balls into the box, try to get knockdowns, maybe Rice runs onto them, maybe Marino runs onto them. It's an ugly way of playing. It's not the way Arteta wants to play, but you're a goal down, you're at home. Then you do that, if there's no Odegaard. Otherwise, you have to hope that Eze goes and invents something like this and you bring him in off the bench. But there's only... I just find it curious that he could feel the second team that could probably finish top 6 in the Premier League, but the one guy for whom he does not have an alternative, and maybe Nwaneri will be that alternative one day, is Martin Odegaard.
Does he not know what to do with Eze, Robbo?
I think he probably found out after this game that he's not at his best when he's playing out wide. When he played for Crystal Palace, he played through, I would say, an inside left position, and he came on as a second half and played through the inside right position. So I think it's slightly deeper than a centre forward. He doesn't want to play out wide. Now, is he going to play with that formation? And at the moment, he's probably the best bet to play in the guard role when he's not fit, because Merino is a totally different player. He hasn't got that passing ability. Rice hasn't got that deftness of touch with his passing. And Zubimendi, and I'll say it many, many times, he'll pass it square and backwards more than he passes it forward. So Eze was probably the player that's got that little bit more quality on the ball to see a pass than any other player other than Odegaard.
So much about City's game just surprised the living daylights out of me as well.
He got out-coached because Pep Guardiola is still a better coach, or coach better in this game. He was not expecting this, as Saka said, and I think it became very difficult for them to go and break them down once City went in that lockdown mode. And by the way, City would have looked stupid if somehow they had broken through, right? Then we would sit here, we would criticize Arteta for being, Pep for being too negative. Oh, and by the way, Erling Haaland, it is the worst start to a Premier League season since he's been at Manchester City in terms of goals scored. Wow. Just the 8 goals in 5 games for him.
Wow, what a great start.
I know.
A terrible start for Erling Haaland and a great start for Liverpool, who sit at the top of the table. 100%, of course. Again, you could say they weren't particularly swashbuckling in their victory against Everton, but they get it already, Robert. They're 5 points on the top of the table. You were saying before, just give them the title now.
I certainly wasn't saying that, but it was interesting that they went into the Everton game and they did a little bit like Arteta did, because they took Wirtz out the side, or Wirtz didn't play. So they had 3 midfield players that are very hard-working, decent on the ball, but they're not great passers. And they played a totally different game. They were more solid, they were more dynamic when they were making their forward runs, and that was shown when Gravenberch scored the first goal. It was an outstanding run. He's an outstanding player at the moment, but they went slightly more defensive. But at the moment, Liverpool aren't firing on all cylinders, and there's going to come a time when that's going to tell, and they're going to lose maybe a couple of games because they're not playing at their very best at the moment. Nothing like they were at the beginning of last season.
But the argument is, Robbo, what if they find that extra cylinder?
Of course, yeah. I mean, if they do that, they're going to run away with the league. But at the moment, I don't think that Arne Slot is quite happy with what he's seeing. He's still trying to mix it up and get the best out of Ekitike, and he's still trying to get the best out of Wirtz. This is a player they've spent a lot of money on, and was going to be the star. He was going to be the player that when teams sat deep, he was going to break them down with his skill and his trickery, and we've seen it a lot in the Bundesliga. I think he is going to be that player, but it's just taking him a little bit longer than most people thought at the moment. So Arne Slot's got 1 or 2 problems maybe there.
Not pieces to fit into a puzzle.
A lot of pieces.
Did you like that?
I've kind of made this analogy all year, but I actually have a bet going with Jules that
okay.
I think by the time Liverpool find their mojo, or if they find their mojo later, and he gets his settled 11, I don't think Florian Wirtz is going to be playing at number 10. I think he'll be playing on the wing, or he'll be playing as a false 9, or it'll just be a different setup, because you're adding so many new players to a team, and at the same time, you're taking your most expensive asset, other than Isak, and you're asking him, on top of adjusting to a new league, top of adjusting to a much bigger club and everything. Oh, by the way, you're playing a new position as well. You're playing a position you really haven't played before ever, and he's only 22, 23 years old. That is a really, really big transition. And so, we'll see how this experiment unfolds. We'll see Isak and so on. I mean, right now, if you're Liverpool, though, you're grateful that you're getting the point.
Every word Mikel Arteta said on Port Vale, the Maduke injury, Arsenal's bad luck, and Max Dauman. Mikel Arteta addressed the media ahead of Arsenal's midweek League Cup tie against Port Vale, and Football.London has all the highlights, including updates on injuries and squad changes. Following a frustrating draw with Manchester City that saw points slip away, Arteta's mind was firmly set on regrouping and returning to winning ways. Updates on Maduke, Hincapie, and Odegaard. On Noni Maduke's injury. Yes, unfortunately, he will be out for a few weeks. We'll have to scan him again next week to see the full extent. He felt something early in the match, tried to push on, but by half-time the pain had gotten worse, so we had to take him off. Is it weeks, not months? Yes, that's our hope. It doesn't look like it's terrible. We'll get better clarity once we have the scans. How is he handling it mentally? He was devastated. It's particularly disappointing because he'd been in great form, gaining consistency, becoming a real threat. Losing him is a big blow for us. On Piero Hincapié. He has picked up a minor groin issue. We'll assess him over the next few days. There was a shift in his training load, plus he didn't really enjoy a full pre-season due to timing. It's likely a short-term setback. Weeks or months? I'd lean toward a short absence, not months. On Kai Havertz. With Kai, it's more serious. We expect it to be months. I can't predict exact recovery timelines. He's unique, but he's progressing well, and we miss him a lot. I hope he returns for the long term. Coping with recurring injuries. Luck or something more? In light of the injuries piling up, not just this season but across recent ones, naturally the question came. Is it just bad luck, or is there a deeper issue? Arteta's take. We analyze everything. The Madueke injury, the Kai one, they're certainly unfortunate. With Martin Odegaard, for example, he hurt his shoulder twice doing the same action while falling. That's rare. Bukayo's issue is muscular. There may be deeper factors, so we're digging into every angle. Our aim is to minimize these occurrences as much as possible. This concern isn't new. Arteta has previously described prolonged injury crises as becoming an accident waiting to happen when a squad is pushed too hard over many matches. ESPN.com. +1. Port Vale match and squad rotation. Looking ahead to a cold night in Stoke with the League Cup match looming, Arteta was clear about his intentions. Many squad players deserve minutes, and Kepa is certainly among them. He's shown great attitude, supports the group fully, and has earned his chance. Was he surprised by external criticism labeling Arsenal as too cautious or playing with a handbrake on? Surprised? In football? Not really. I don't read everything. But if I hear a narrative that's far from what I see and believe, I'll reflect. We dominate matches, but control and dominance can be interpreted differently. I accept the criticism. I'll learn if there's something new to see. On giving younger players opportunities, particularly Max Daumann, Arteta was thoughtful and measured. Managing someone so young is a challenge. His life, schedule, training load, sleep, diet, all change. He needs balance. We try to integrate him gradually, exposure with youth sides and with the first team, so when he's called upon, he's ready. Asked how senior players react when a teenager like Max steps up and occasionally outmuscles them, he laughed. At first, there were jokes like kick him, but Max stood up, got back up, played on. You can't help but admire a kid who just turned 14 last year doing that. Now everyone loves him. He's a lovely person, and we have a duty to give him every chance to thrive. Miles, Bukayo and Gabriel, minutes, roles, and comebacks. On Miles. He faces natural competition. You can be in form, but others are playing well too. The moment he's given a chance, he must show his level. That's how you make decisions harder to resist. Will he remain as left back or shift into midfield? Fluidity is key. He attacks like a midfielder. But yes, he's shown he can do the left back role at the highest level, even in the Champions League. On Martin Odegaard's shoulder. No surgery required. He's training now and should return in days, not weeks. On Bukayo Saka's return after a month out. He definitely needs minutes to get back into rhythm, regain confidence, repeat actions, feel sharp again. We'll reintroduce him gradually, but I liked what I saw when he came on last time. On Gabriel Martinelli's flexibility. Yes, we're considering using both him and others in more fluid ways. Gabriel has shown he can affect the game from wide or central positions depending on how the match unfolds. Closing thoughts on narrative and criticism. Returning to the handbrake narrative, Arteta was candid. When I see the statistics and how the team plays, I'm surprised by some of these takes. But I respect opinions. If I learn something new, I will. That's part of the process. Asked whether it irks him that critics often judge the style without fully understanding the approach, he replied, "No. I'm not surprised. I've never been surprised by criticism in football. What matters is that internally, we stay true to our principles, keep improving, and stay connected to the reality of how we see the game." The ripple effects, atmosphere, tactics, and expectations. Arteta's comments and the injury news have already rippled through the club, affecting preparations, morale, and public expectations. With a squad stretched by time and fitness concerns, every decision now carries more weight. Tactics under strain. Missing key contributors like Madueke, Hincapie, and Kai alters not just personnel, but how Arteta can approach each match. Defensive balance becomes more delicate without Hincapie's full fitness. He provides cover and recovery that allows fullbacks to push forward. Attacking fluidity suffers without Madueke's presence. He had become a winger who drifts inside, stretching defences. Midfield control, especially in games where Arsenal must chase or protect leads, will hinge heavily on Odegaard's return and the depth behind him. Several backup players will now find themselves in the spotlight sooner than expected, and their performances in cup competitions or lesser matchups could shape how the rest of the season plays out. Squad morale and the young core. For younger players like Miles and Max Dauman, this season is a blessing hidden in challenge. The gap created by injuries may force earlier integration, giving them real stakes, high-pressure minutes, and experience they might not otherwise receive so soon. But the flip side is also true. Expectations will rise, mistakes will be spotlighted, and patience may run thin. Internally, the coaching staff is walking a tightrope, pushing youngsters to seize opportunity while shielding them from burnout or loss of confidence. Arteta's comments on managing sleep, diet, and match load suggest the club has recognized the physical and psychological demands at play. External pressure and media narratives. Arteta's acknowledgement of media narratives, particularly the handbrake line, signals how aware he is of public perception. The weekend draw against Manchester City became a flashpoint. Many analysts seized on Arsenal's cautious approach instead of their moments of control. That he would go on record responding shows how much the club wants to control not only matches, but the story surrounding them. Fans, too, have voiced divided opinions online, some praising depth and rotation, others demanding consistent starting lineups and high-risk attacking football. Social media threads are already scrutinizing each injury update, lineup change, and press quote in real time. What's at stake? League position and title aspirations. At the top level, every dropped point or disrupted match rhythm matters. Arsenal's competitors, Manchester City, Liverpool, Tottenham, will not stand still. How the Gunners navigate this injury patch may define whether they mount a serious title challenge or quietly slip behind. Champions League ambitions. European recovery and progression demand squad depth. Arteta's rotation choices will be put to the test against sides that exploit fatigue and small margins. The stronger Arsenal's bench proves to be, the better their chance of going far. Player futures and contract negotiations. At the individual level, performances during adversity often shape careers. Young talent stepping up may force new conversations. Fringe or recovering senior players may find their contracts or roles reassessed. And long-term injuries could shift planning at transfer windows. Fan trust and club identity. With Arsenal branding itself as a progressive, attacking side under Arteta, fans expect courage, fluidity, and commitment even in adverse conditions. How the team responds, whether with resilience or conservative setups, can influence trust in the coach and club direction.